Today's lesson is Munich, the heart of German culture. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
Hello, my name is Kiki.
We're traveling now in the month of April. It might be a little early to travel to Europe because it may still be cold there. But, if you want to brave the cold weather, you might want to consider going to Germany. And more specifically, you might want to consider going to the city of Munich. Kiki, have you ever been to Munich before?
Oh, no, I've always wanted to. I've gone to other places in Germany, but definitely not to Munich. And especially because I've heard that Munich has a special celebration every year.
Indeed, we're going to talk about that special celebration in our lesson for today. I myself have never been to Munich before, but I have met people from there during my travels. I think I met a German guy from Munich when I was traveling in China, and I think he plays the guitar or something like that. But in any case, Munich is a place you might want to consider going to for various reasons, and we're going to talk about some of the points of interest, the sights and sounds of Munich in today's lesson. So let's get to it. Let's introduce Munich to you with the first paragraph.
Munich, the heart of German culture. Munich, the capital of the German state of Bavaria, is known for its culture, architecture, and legendary Oktoberfest celebrations. This marvelous city is a must-see destination on any European tour.
大家好，第一部分我们可以看到名词 architecture。它指的是建筑风格或是建筑学。例如 This building is an excellent example of classical architecture. 这座建筑是古典建筑风格的绝佳示范。或者 If you're a fan of modern architecture, you should visit Dubai. 如果你是现代建筑风格的粉丝，你应该去杜拜看看。接下来我们看到形容词 legendary， 意思是家喻户晓的、传奇的或是传说的。举例来说 This seafood restaurant's crab dish is legendary. 这家海鲜餐厅的螃蟹餐点家喻户晓。又或者说 Serena Williams has become a legendary tennis player in the past 2 decades. Serena Williams 在过去20年间已成为传奇网球选手。另外去掉这个字字尾的 ary 就会变成名词 legend， 表示传说或是传说故事。例如An ancient legend tells of a lost treasure deep inside the jungle. 一个古老的传说叙述一个失落在丛林深处的宝藏。再看一个例子 According to legend, only the true king can pull the sword from the stone. 根据传说，只有真正的国王才能拔出石中剑。再来我们看到单字 celebration， 它是名词，指的是庆祝活动或是庆典。例如Megan didn't want a celebration for her birthday because she wasn't happy about getting older. Megan 不想要办庆生活动，因为她不开心自己变老。或是 There was a big celebration after the baseball team won the finals. 但是棒球队赢了决赛之后，有场盛大的庆祝活动。另外补充这个字的动词 celebrate, C-E-L-E-B-R-A-T-E, celebrate. 它的意思是庆祝。例如Ryan celebrated his promotion by taking his family out to dinner. Ryan 带家人外出用餐，庆祝他的升迁。再举一个例子 Holly will celebrate her birthday by going out to dinner with her friends. Holly 会和她的朋友去吃晚餐，以庆祝她的生日。
Okay, now the title is describing Munich as being the heart of German culture. So if you really want to understand the culture of Germany, then you might want to head to Munich. If you go to Berlin, yeah, it's a German city. And if you go to Hamburg, yeah, it's a German city as well. But my goodness, they just don't have the heart and soul of Germany as Munich does.
Right. And Munich is the capital of the German state of Bavaria, and it is known for its culture, architecture, and legendary Oktoberfest celebrations. So, architecture is the study of how buildings are designed or how buildings are made. And usually, architecture also focuses on a special type of design style or a special way of constructing these buildings. So, usually, architecture is really be able to enjoy and really study these old buildings. And obviously, we can see here in Munich, you can really see the old architecture still exist in this city.
Indeed, if you go to other cities in Germany, maybe they're too modern. You can't see these old traditional buildings, but Munich seems to have them in abundance. So yes, indeed, it's the capital of Bavaria, and it's known for its culture. It's also known for its architecture, and it's also known for its legendary Oktoberfest celebrations. So if something's legendary, it is well known, and it has been around for quite some time. So Oktoberfest has been around for quite a long time. People know about it. And of course, sometimes when people talk about Munich, they'll talk about Oktoberfest as well. It's associated with Munich here. And we're talking about the celebrations there, which means activities that take place in order to celebrate something, to recognize the importance of something.
So we know that Munich, it really is a marvelous city, and it is a must-see destination on any European tour. So whenever you go on a trip in Europe, you really have to go to Munich because it's so marvelous, it's so amazing because it has its culture and it has these old architecture and it has legendary celebrations. So it's a must-see. You have to go there. So it's really recommended to people. Okay, so that's the end of part 1. Let's listen to part 2.
A good place to start a visit to Munich is Mary Square, the historic square that's been the hub of the city since 1158. In the past, all of Munich's main streets came together at this point, and even today, you'll find a number of famous places within easy walking distance. On the northern side of the square sits the new town hall. Built between 1867 and 1909, it's noted for its ornate Gothic architecture and its huge mechanical clock, or Glockenspiel. Munich's Glockenspiel operates with 43 bells that play waltzes by Brahms and Wagner, while lively wooden figures spin and dance to the music. A short stroll across Mary Square will lead you to St. Peter's Church, the oldest church in the city, which is famous for its Gothic architecture and beautiful stained glass windows.
第二部分介绍一个片语 come together， 它的意思是汇集或是聚集。例如 The three rivers come together at this spot。 那3条河在这个地点汇集在一起。另外这个片语也可以表示众人聚在一起。例如 Our whole family came together to celebrate grandmother's birthday。 我们全家聚在一起庆祝奶奶的生日。最后我们看到形容词 mechanical， 它的意思是机械的或是机械原理的。例如 The ride in the theme park was closed because of a mechanical problem。 那个主题乐园里的设施因为一个机械问题关闭了。又或者说 Though my uncle isn't traditionally book smart, I wouldn't hesitate to call him a mechanical genius。 虽然我的叔叔不是传统的书虫，但我会毫不迟疑地称他机械天才。
Okay, so we've introduced Munich to you, and now we're going to tell you what to check out in Munich if you choose to go there. And a good place to start your tour, a good place to start a visit to Munich, is Mary's Square. A square, of course, is like the central part of a city. It's like in the middle of town, so that's where you want to start. It's an historic square that's been the hub of the city since 1158. The hub just means the middle of something where all activity kind of evolves around, or revolves around, I should say. A hub could also be like a transportation hub. Like if you're flying in Europe, I think Amsterdam is a big hub there. Lots of international flights fly into Amsterdam, and then they do their connections to other parts of Europe. Or in the United States, Denver is a big hub, or Atlanta is a big hub for airlines.
And in the past, all of Munich's main streets came together at this point. And even today, today, you'll find a number of famous places within easy walking distance. So going back to Mary's Square, it's a historic square. So in the olden days, a square is where people usually come and gather. It's where everybody does their activities. Merchants, they sell their things, or politicians, they come here and they talk to the people. So a square is where people gather to do things. You know, all the villagers, they'll come here, they'll bring their stuff and come to the square and sell it. So Munich's main streets came together at this point, at Mary's Square.
Right, so it's kind of like the spokes of a bicycle wheel. They all lead to the hub, and the spokes of the bicycle wheel would be the roads that lead into Mary's Square. So if you're in Mary's Square, of course, you can probably see lots and lots of streets going off in different directions. So all those streets come together there. At least they did in the past, and even today you'll find a number of famous places within easy walking distance. So we've got within walking distance, means that you can walk to that place without getting too tired or without spending too much time. You don't need to take a bus, you don't need to take a train or a taxi. You can walk there and actually have a leisurely stroll, and all of those famous places, those tourist sites, are very close to Mary's Square. Now moving on to the next paragraph here, it says, on the northern side of the square sits the new town hall. So this is an example of famous places that are within walking distance of Mary's Square. On the north side of the square is the new town hall. It's kind of like the city hall, but it's the new one.
Built between 1867 and 1909, it's noted for its ornate Gothic architecture and its huge mechanical clock, or glockenspiel.
Right, and we're describing this as being ornate. This building is noted for its ornate Gothic architecture. If something's noted for something, that means it's famous for that thing. People know about that particular feature. So the particular feature of the new town hall is its Gothic architecture that is quite ornate. If it's ornate, it's quite complicated. It's got a lot of ornaments and designs and carvings and things like that. Just like certain temples in Taiwan. There's a temple in Sanxia that is quite ornate, but in any case, it's quite ornate. It's got a lot of carvings and details and things like that. And of course, it's also known for its huge mechanical clock, which is also referred to as glockenspiel. If something's mechanical, it uses machinery to operate. If I think about a mechanical watch, for example, that's a watch that is not quartz-powered or quartz-driven. It is actually using little wheels and springs and things like that. A lot of people prefer mechanical watches over quartz watches.
And nowadays, with the new cars, a lot of times when something happens to your car, you're not sure if it's a mechanical issue or if it's a tech issue or a computer issue, because there's so many different computers in our cars now. So sometimes you're not sure if it's mechanical or not. You have to bring your car to a mechanic, a person that will fix your car, and he will determine if there's something wrong with your car's system, the technology in it, or if it's the mechanical part, which may involve your car engine, the drive shaft, or, you know, the wheelbase or whatever. So mechanical can also refer to different parts of your car.
Exactly. So maybe you need to have your distributor cap looked at, or maybe the camshaft or whatever, the cylinders and the engine. Those require some mechanics or a mechanic to take a look at them, because that's the mechanical aspect of your car's engine. And we're talking about the glockenspiel, which is a huge mechanical clock. I suppose you can watch the gears and things working and understand how it works. And Munich's glockenspiel operates with 43 bells that play waltzes by Brahms and Wagner, while lively wooden figures spin and dance to the music. So it's quite a sight to see. The waltz, of course, is a piece of music in triple time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's a waltz.
It's really interesting because the clock plays a waltz, but it's under a Gothic architecture. So I really can imagine that it's quite an amazing sight because when you see Gothic, usually you think it's like really straight and sharp edges of architecture or it's really dark. But at the same time, to have this faster-paced music and then to see lively wooden figures dance around and spin around, it's really cool, don't you think, Roger?
It does sound pretty cool, even though I've never seen it. But of course, you can go right on the internet and look for a video that shows it. And yes, you can see that glockenspiel. It's got 43 bells. So that's one of the sites you can check out within walking distance of Mary Square. And a short stroll across Mary Square will lead you to St. Peter's Church, the oldest church in the city, which is famous for its Gothic architecture and beautiful stained glass windows. So if you take a stroll, you just kind of leisurely walk from one place to another. Stroll can be both a verb and a noun. Here it's being used as a noun. You're going to take a short stroll across Mary Square, and that will take you or lead you to another church, St. Peter's Church, which happens to be the oldest church in the city. Why would you want to go check out a church, Kiki?
Well, because I want to go and see its architecture. I want to go and see how this church is built. I want to see what it looks like from the inside, and especially if I want to see its stained glass windows. This is something that we don't really see often anymore because stained glass windows are really hard to make. These are glass windows that have pictures or a certain depiction of a person, and it is handmade. So the makers of the stained glass windows, they have to cut different pieces of different colored windows and glass and make it into this picture. They have to form this stained glass. They have to make this picture and make it into a window. And Germany and the German churches have a lot of these beautiful depictions, and usually these stained glass windows are really big.
Indeed. So stained, of course, means they are colored during some kind of process. So, of course, they're probably going to depict scenes from the Bible or whatever, maybe like the stoning of Stephen or Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. They may depict scenes from the Bible or just pictures of old Jesus himself. And indeed, those stained glass windows will be quite a sight to see. Remember to bring your cameras. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. It's time to move on now to the third part.
Just off Mary's Square is the Victualienmarkt, the old food market where visitors and locals alike come to snack on traditional Bavarian sausages, pretzels, and cheese. The Victualienmarkt also serves as the entrance to a pedestrian shopping zone that covers several streets.
Okay, now let's take a look at the third part. Just off Mary Square is the Victualienmarkt. So it's an old food market where visitors and locals alike come to snack on traditional Bavarian sausages, pretzels, and cheese. So this market, this Victualienmarkt, it's near Mary Square, and people, local farmers, they'll come here, they'll sell their local traditional foods like pretzels and sausages and cheese to the visitors.
Indeed, and it's an old food market, and visitors and locals can come together to have some snacks. They can snack on some traditional kinds of food there, sausages, pretzels, and cheese. And the Victualienmarkt also serves as the entrance to a pedestrian shopping zone that covers several streets. Now, here we've got the word pedestrian. That usually refers to a person who is walking, like in certain cities, in all cities, they have pedestrian crossings where people can walk across the street. Hopefully, they won't get run over by cars or buses or whatever. So watch out for pedestrians. Watch out for people who are walking. But here the word pedestrian is serving as an adjective. It's a shopping zone for people who walk only. They don't allow cars or motorcycles or whatever in there. It's a pedestrian shopping zone, so it's probably pretty quiet, and you can do some people watching there, and you can have yourself a great time.
So for the pedestrian shopping zone, like in Shanghai, there's a whole area called the Nanjing Donglu Buxingjie. So that whole area is for pedestrians to walk around and there's lots of different shopping malls or different shops, and it's really, really long. And it's a designated area for people to do their shopping, and they can spend their day walking around without having to worry about cars or bikes or buses coming and, having to look all the time, if it's safe to cross. So in this pedestrian shopping zone, it's just all about people walking around, traveling around. And another way to use pedestrian is that when we cross the road, it's really important that we give way to pedestrians when they're crossing. So if you're in a car and you're driving, we have to give way to pedestrians because we should let the people that are walking cross the road first.
Yeah, I think a lot of cities in Europe do this. They close off streets in the central part of the city and don't allow traffic in there, therefore pedestrians only. So they're nice and quiet, and I think it's good for business. And I think even some places in Taiwan have done this as well, areas that are for pedestrians only. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Here comes Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始有提到慕尼黑以其文化、建筑和家喻户晓的慕尼黑啤酒节庆祝活动而闻名。这边是用到 be known for 来表达以什么闻名。然后课文第二部分有提到慕尼黑新市政厅以装饰华丽的哥德式建筑和巨大机械钟而闻名。这边则是用到 be noted for 来表达以什么闻名。那么 noted 当形容词就可以形容是著名的。再来同一个段落最后一句，它则用到 be famous for 去描述说圣彼得教堂以其哥德式建筑和美丽彩绘玻璃窗而著称。好，那从课文里面我们就学到3种表达以什么闻名、以什么著称的用法哦，就是 be known for, be famous for, be noted for。那其实我们还可以用到 be famed for， 还有 be renowned for，还有 be celebrated for 等等，去表达差不多的语义。其中这个 renowned 和 celebrated 它们都是用来形容著名的、知名的。那在这些用法当中呢，介系词 for 后面你都可以接名词或者是动名词。举例来说 The city is famed for its beautiful beaches. 那个城市以美丽的海滩而闻名。好，再来相反的，我们可以用 be infamous 或者是 be notorious 去加上 for 再加上名词或动名词，表达因什么而声名狼藉、恶名昭彰。其中这个 infamous 它是在 famous 前面加上否定字首 in， 不过 infamous 不是用来表达不有名、默默无名的意思哦，而是因为负面的事情而声名狼藉。那我们分别用 infamous 和 notorious 来造句看看。The restaurant is infamous for its terrible service. 那间餐厅因为服务太差而风评不佳。或者是 He's notorious for being cruel to animals. 他因为对动物残忍而恶名昭彰。好，再来读到课文第3部分，他介绍了谷物市场。那么文中他用到 visitors and locals alike， 旅客和当地人都怎么样怎么样。那么 alike 它当副词表示一样的、相似的。像我们有一句谚语是说 Great minds think alike， 字面意思是聪明的人想的一样，那就是用来表达英雄所见略同。好，那接着我们用 A and B alike， 就是指说 A 和 B 一样都怎么样怎么样。举例来说 The TV show is loved by children and adults alike。 那个电视节目小孩大人都爱。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Architecture. The architecture of the new building includes many classical elements. Legendary. The legendary actor will be taking part in this year's Shakespeare Festival. Celebration. Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez had a barbecue as part of their Independence Day celebration. Mechanical. The bus broke down due to a mechanical problem. Stroll. Stacy likes to soak up the sun by taking a stroll along the beach every morning. Pedestrian. Robert crossed the busy street by using the pedestrian bridge.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Kiki.
See you next time.